In this set of videos, we're going to look at a selection of formulas that allow us to rank our values and also find values by a certain rank. So let's explain what I mean by that. For example, I can use the small formula. The small formula will find the first smallest, second smallest, or third smallest, for example, value within a list. So in my first example here, if I wanted to find the smallest sale, I need to enter my formula small. Let's retype that. Small. I select the array. You can interpret array as range of cells. And I'm looking in my sales column. Type my comma to move on to the next parameter. So to find the number that is smallest on our list, it will be the number one small value, the first small value if they were ranked in order. So I'll type my 1. From here I can close the bracket and hit enter. Let's just do a quick check on that. I'll highlight my sales column and I'll look for my minimum value here at the bottom, and I can see in effect it's 29.85. Other things we may want to do is find the top 3 largest values in a list. So again here we're maybe looking at sales. So we type equals large, open the bracket. We need to stipulate the array that we're going to look in, and then we're going to stipulate the order of which value we want to retrieve from that array. So selecting my sales column, press comma to move on to my next parameter. I'm going to look for the first largest value in my list by clicking on this 1. From here I can close the brackets and hit enter. Here we have the largest value in the list. If I now go back into my formula and lock my range, that will prevent the range from moving around if I have to drag this formula down. Exit from the cell and drag down. Okay, so here we see that in our first and second position we have two 550s. This is actually because there are 2 values in this list at 550. 550 is the highest value, so if you like, 550 is the joint winner, occupying first and second position. Let's just do a double check of this. I'm going to apply a filter and search for my 550. And here we can see that there are in fact 2 values at 550. Because the rank formula is unable to place one 550 above the other, they just appear as joint first and second place. From there we move on to the third value, which will be 528.94. To double check this, I'm actually going to sort my list. I'll select the total sales column and order alphabetically descending from highest to lowest. Here we can see our top 550 sales together, and then our third value at 528.94. We could perhaps do one more to add to the experiment and drag down again. Again, we can confirm 503.99 matches our 503.99. Now, obviously, if it was just a one-off list that we were only performing this calculation on once, you could simply sort the list without creating this set of formulas. But the formulas are going to be useful if we have dynamically changing lists. If every month we have a new list and all we want to do is put the list into a fixed template and get all these calculations given to us straight away. The final formula in our arsenal of ranking formulas is the rank formula itself. To test out the rank formula, I'm first going to sort by date order, and that is simply to undo the total sales sorting that I had just applied. In this column I'm going to add a rank formula so I can see how these sales perform in relation to all the other sales in the list. So I'll start my formula with the equals, type rank, and open the brackets. So the first parameter I need to feed into my formula is the number. In this case, the number refers to the value I want to evaluate against all the other values in the list. So for this row, I'm going to point at total sales in row 2. From here, I then need to stipulate the reference. That is the list of other numbers against which I'm comparing. I'll select all of my numbers and very importantly use the F4 key to lock that cell range down. because as I move down the list, I want this range to stay fixed while my variable is going to be the H2. That is going to change row by row. And finally, I have an optional parameter here, which is the order. We have two options, ascending and descending. I'm going to leave the default of descending. Finish my formula, add the last bracket and hit enter. Let's fill that formula down. And we can see, for example, that in the number 1 position, I do have, in fact, my top sale of 550. Let's go back to my sort and evaluate again on this column. Sorting from highest to lowest, I can see that these top 2 values are occupying joint first position. After that, we move on to the 3rd value and the 4th and the 5th, etc. Again, here I have another duplicate value, so we have a joint 5th position. Of course, I didn't have to filter the list. Let's undo that sort. And I could, for example, from here, do a filter on 1st, 3rd and 4th position, finding me my top sales.